Hi, this is Greg, and welcome to my channel. Welcome to my first ever review on YouTube. So, hello, interweb. Today we're going to review a very fun watch. It's a Breitling SuperOcean 42. First off, I just want you guys to see what comes in the package. So it's your standard white box, generic white box. That's the outer box, and then of course you would have your blue box. Inside would be the the usual stuff: bezel protector, hang tag, manual that nobody ever reads. I still wonder why they put that in there if nobody ever reads it. And of course, surprisingly, you have the watch. One of the reasons why I wanted to do this review is because I don't actually see a lot of reviews online for this watch. I guess it's not that hot maybe as like a Black Bay 58 or an Omega Speedmaster or Seamaster. So let's get out of the dimensions out of the way. As I said, it's 42 millimeters across. There's a thickness of 13.3 millimeters, including that slightly domed sapphire crystal. The weight on this supplied rubber strap is 120 grams. And of course, the case material is all stainless steel, as you would expect. And the water resistance is 500 meters or 1,650 feet. As you would see there printed on the dial. Now this uses a caliber, the movement is actually a Breitling 17, which is basically just like a Swiss EDA that they heavily modified so it can be chronometer certified. As you guys would know, Breitling does not sell any kind of watch that is not chronometer certified. So that's always a positive for this brand. The power reserve for this is 38 hours. Vibration of 28,800 VPH, 25 joules. What else? Bezel is unidirectional, ratcheted, of course. And another thing about the bezel is that you guys would see here, I'm not sure if I can focus properly, the bezel are actually screwed. So if you guys would see there and there and basically all across the bezel, those are like screws, so it would never pop off. Well, you guys would see here that this watch has actually been worn a lot. It's my daily beater, so to speak. Now the lug to lug, which is contentious in some kind of way, is 50.6 millimeters, but for me it actually wears good. It really depends on what kind of wrist profile that you would have. Some wrist profiles are rounded and some wrist profiles are flat, and I have the latter, so I'm kind of lucky that I can wear any kind of watch, even though that I have a circumference of a 6.5 wrist. Now lug width is very nice with a 20 millimeter, so strap monster that tapers slightly to 18. And if you guys would see here, the buckle is actually 18 millimeters as well, and of course it's actually, you would actually see the nice logo of Breitling there. That's the to die logo, not like the old B that the other Breitling would have. Case back is screwed on, pretty straightforward. You would see here that it says all the usual things, really, that SuperOcean certified chronometer, which is this is the A17366. That's the model number. Of course, another logo there. And here you would have, of course, your sign crown. Maybe I can zoom in there just a bit so you guys would see. There's a letter B. And And of course, now let's go to the dial. To me, one of the main reasons I got this watch was just because of the dial. This dial is something that is not the usual dial that you would see. It has glimpses of a lot of things. Maybe a little bit of a nod to a Submariner, a little bit of a nod to Panerai with the 6, 9, 12 numerals, and even the second hand looks like a GMT hand. And so it's something more of a unique dial rather than the usual subs and, you know, the Tudor black bays. So that's one of the reasons I got this watch, was because of that. It's more of, it was something kind of different rather than the normal. Now, the bezel, this is, I've tried to look through this in the forums, but it's not in the website. Some say that the bezel is actually DLC coated. Some say it's like this thing and that. But all I know, it's very scratch resistant, and there's a slight relief of those numerals there. It's just an ever so slight relief. So it actually is so nice. Loom pip is, the pip is loomed. The rest of the bezel, of course, is not. Now, speaking of loom here is just bonkers. I'll probably include a loom shot later on so you guys would see, but I would have to say that the loom here is just something that I have never ever seen from a Swiss luxury brand, because, you know, I owned some Speedmasters before, poor loom. Got an Aquaterra before, poor loom. Hamilton, shitty loom. Tags are decent, but nothing as bright as this. And I believe there's like a YouTube reviewer as well, a Marshall Time if I'm not mistaken. He actually compared the loom to a Seiko Marine Master, and I think that's like a testament as to what kind of loom this watch has. So now that we've got all the dimensions out of the way, and hopefully I did not forget about anything, I would want to deep dive down to the dial, because this is something that sold me to this watch. So if I may just zoom in a bit, as you guys would see here, this dial is just like, I don't know how to describe it, it's just like a reverse stamp. So if you guys would see, it actually, it's not applied, it's like it protrudes. It's like it was like stamped from behind, and then generous loom is like applied. And of course, sorry for the fingerprints, I'm kind of OC. And then of course you guys would see that applied logo on the 12, just beneath the 12, and SuperOcean and chronometer, and then of course, as I said, 600 meters, 1,650 feet, and Swiss made at the 6. And if you guys would see here, the dial is just like, even though that there's like a date window at the 3, it's still symmetrical. And of course Breitling was still flexing, because if you would see here on the date window, just beside it on the far right, there's just like a very small loom that they still etched in there, just for good measure, I guess. And of course the second hand, which gives this dial just a bit of a pop of color. And the hands, hour and minute hands, and of course it's all surrounded by this gunmetal gray is how I best can describe it. So all in all, if you would look at it, it's not something flashy, you know. I think that's one of the reasons why I gravitated towards this model. It's not as blingy as, you know, as again, sorry to say, maybe a Tudor Black Bay. I'm not a hater of the Black Bay, I like it, but right now it's just that everybody seems to have that same watch. So it's more of something that you can just like bang around. Don't worry about how it looks, because look at the finishing. It's just basically meant just to be banged around, except for, there's just like a high polish side here. And of course, Breitling with their high polish, it's so nice. But again, excuse my watch. My watch is actually dirty, at least that's a testament that it's being used. Now, another thing here that I would want to point out is, if you guys could see that blue halo there from my studio lights, is that the AR coating of Breitling is just top notch. I mean, if I just like zoomed it here, you could actually think that you would actually touch the dial already. That's the amount of AR coating that Breitling would put. Of course, there's a downside there, which I'll go with the cons later. So, those are the cons for me. I just think that it's a perfect tool watch that that you can just like enjoy without really looking at it that you're gonna destroy it. It's robust, it's over engineered, it's a Breitling. Now, how does it fit on the wrist? That's a question. So again, as I said, I have a 6.5 wrist. Okay, and through the magic of editing, you would see here I'm wearing the Breitling SuperOcean 42. And if you guys would see the 13.3, I don't know if you guys can see this, but I have a 6.5 inch wrist, and it's not bad. I don't like per se, big chunky watches, but I think this is like the limit for me. But I think it wears well. Maybe it's the subdued, it's not that polished, maybe it just like blends into my skin tone. Who knows? All I know is that I can pull it off with my wrist. It's 6.5 for your reference, and I'm sure that a lot of you guys can do it as well. Maybe a lot of people are kind of maybe put off with this rubber strap, because it's it kind of screams Breitling. But I have to tell you, once you put it on, and nobody really notices. I guess that's it. Kind of blends in, and it's discreet, especially at night. So and 15 millimeter lug to lug is not that bad, because I guess the lugs here actually turn downwards, so actually it is a good fit. I don't know if you guys can see that, or my camera does it justice. One more top shot, I guess. Okay, so just to round things off, I just want to give a quick loom shot of this, because as I said, this watch, it's just like phenomenal loom. Hold on, I'll just charge it for a bit. And if you guys would see there, I just like barely touched it with a torch, and it's just like screaming right now, even with the lights on. And it is just like that. And the loom really actually stays put. It's a C3, so I don't know with my camera it looks like a BGW9 from here, but it's actually C3. It emits a green glow. It's very bright, and it lasts long throughout the night. No problem with the loom. And I think a lot of luxury brands are like, skimping on loom, which is unbelievable, because a lot of micro brands are like generous in terms of putting loom. Okay, and now for the cons. As kind of any watch and as enthusiasts, we always see something wrong with the watch. There's no such thing as a perfect watch. A couple of cons here that I think, in my humble opinion, that I think they could have actually done better. Of course, the obvious thing, which is like screaming, would be the date window. You know, there's no border, or it's not even color matched. You know, that's something that they could have worked on. And another thing, which is a positive and a negative, is the AR coating. Again, as I said, the AR coating here, as you guys would see here, the signature blue U of Breitling, and you guys would see here, it's liberally applied inside and out, and outside, that's the biggest problem for me. Omega actually does that as well, and after a while, the AR coating, rather, the AR coating on the outside of the sapphire actually peels off over time, and there's no getting over that. It's just going to happen. And as like you wear your watch, after quite some time, you know, it'll just happen, and you'll kind of notice it peel off, and it's not going to be even, you know. I'm sure people with OCD would actually hate that. Some people won't mind, but I do. And I think that's one thing that I don't look forward to, you know, being a long owner of this watch. And speaking of which, this model came out in 2019. This was purchased back in 2019 as well. And of course, and it's in the 2 years of ownership, it's been awesome. I have zero complaints except for the cons that I just said. Now, the question is, the biggest question is, will I actually keep the watch? You know, for now, maybe. I'm not a notorious flipper, but I just think that we're in the golden age of watches, and that there's so many models out there that, you know, you just like lust for. I've gone through a new rabbit hole. I'm looking at certain micro brands right now, and I think that there are certain micro brands with the amount of money that you pay for them actually has a higher value proposition rather than the Swiss luxury brands. One watch specifically, maybe I could just like add to this video. It's kind of out of context. One watch that I'm talking about is actually this. This is a Gino Ocean Rover 2, and I've been wearing this for about. I just got this shipped from the U.S. I just got it for about 2 weeks now, and I'm seriously loving it. And I kind of see the beauty of a micro brand now in comparison to the bigger brands. So, you know, towards that question, will I keep it? For now, yes. Will I recommend a Breitling SuperOcean 42? Hell yes. I think it's a serious contender if you don't want a Black Bay 58, but you don't want to pay the hefty amount for an Omega Seamaster. And I think Breitling, you know, comfortably falls in the middle of it. And another thing about the Breitling is, you know, if you look to their website, of course their prices are just like too much, but we all know that in retail you don't really pay for the retail price. Once you go there, they'll give you discounts. And if you're okay to buy it in the gray market or pre-owned, then, you know, you would actually have a high value proposition for a watch. You know, you have the brand cachet, you have all the specs, you have an over engineered piece, you just have everything. So, you know, I just wanted to share my experience with this watch as a two-year owner of this watch, and it's actually been fun. So anyway, maybe I have been rambling for too long, and I apologize if my review is kind of, you know, it kind of bounces around, but it's my first review, so hopefully you guys like it. If you guys would have suggestions as to how I review things, maybe you can leave that in the comment below. Maybe I can work things out for the next video. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys again the next time.